Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Folklor America show. And today, my guest is Rafael Valpuesta. Is that how you say it?
Yes, Valpuesta, yeah.
Just making sure. I want to get the terminology. I want to get the saying right. I don't want to be all off and just throwing everything
Okay.
for a loop. So, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, no problem, no problem. Well, you were on the list of people that I wanted to hit up because I've seen you for so long. I know you've been in the folklorico industry for years. Actually, why don't you just let everybody know your background, your story?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think we have that much time, but I will.
Oh, we got as much time as you want.
It's quite extensive. I started dancing at the age of 7. In grade school, I had a teacher that was from Jalapa, Veracruz, and initially we learned dances from the Sotavento region of Veracruz. Then when he knew that we were able to handle that, he taught us different regions. So that's how it all started. At the beginning, it was just for fun. I grew up in a time where it was very difficult to say that you were Mexican. So people were kind of ashamed, or they would bully you, and they would make fun of you. So I thought I didn't think much of it. I didn't think it was going to be something so, big in my life. Then I continued dancing through middle school, high school, and then I was invited to do like a temporary project at my alma mater at Roosevelt High School. And so as soon as I graduated high school, I took over as the instructor for the folklorico group there, Alma Mestiza at the time. Well, that was kind of like the catalyst to venture into different companies, major professional companies here in LA. So I've danced with so many of them that I can't even tell you. But that's how it started. I later inherited, in 1998, I inherited Ballet Folklorico Ressurreccion, which was at the parish here in Boyle Heights. Mm-hmm. And 22 years later, here I am. I'm still directing Ressurreccion.
There you go. Not too bad. No, I remember that because I went to your practice one time. Or one time I think you needed help you were putting on a competition at the church or something like that.
Yes, correct.
This was years ago, and we danced. I think it was a Norte number you put.
Sonora, is that you?
That's me.
Yes, I think I remember your mom.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. Look at you. You're so grown up. I remember, I have a video of that show, actually.
Oh, my horrible performance?
No, it was a great performance. I remember I was introduced to your mother, and then you came, and you were very young. You were, I want to say, what? 14, 15 at the time. Yeah. I know exactly who you are now. Oh my God, that's so cool. No, you danced with us. We needed some boys. RMF, Ballet Folklorico Ressurreccion at the time was only women. So I had boys that started coming in slowly. One of my assistant director, Brian Osorio, he started introducing gentlemen into the group. Brian was already there when you came.
Yeah, I remember you had like 5 guys, I think. You had quite a bit, and I was like, man, he doesn't need guys. He's got a bunch of people.
No, we definitely needed guys, and I remember you now. I totally lost contact with you. I didn't.
Don't worry.
And then I always wanted to know about you because I knew you came and you were so willing and you were so helpful, and you're like, yeah, I'll learn whatever I need to learn. And it was like very quick. You only rehearsed with us for like not so long.
It was the day before and then the morning of.
Yeah, I remember that clearly. Yeah. Well, that's so cool. I'm so excited. Good. Well, that's part of my story. I danced with the first professional dance company that I danced with was Tonantzin, the Tonantzin Dance Company. They were directed by Margarita Leiva and Enrique Casas Rodriguez at the time. It was one of the biggest dance companies in LA. And then Gema Sandoval, who still directs Danza Floricanto USA, they had some sort of like an exchange program at school where they would come and teach a few days out of the week. And then that's how I started collaborating with her. I became a member of that company. And then in school, we were introduced to classical training. So that was something that I was really passionate about. So when I discovered Ballet Folklorico del Pacífico at the time, they were doing or following the same line of work that Amalia Hernandez did, the Ballet Folklorico de Mexico. So when I saw that, I was like, this is what I need to be doing. And that's how it took off.
No, that's something I completely underrated in like earlier years was adding that ballet technique to my folklorico.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. I was like, no. I was like one of those people. I'm like, it's dance all the way, blah blah this, blah blah that. And then what changed my opinion of that was when I met my wife, and she was trained by Blanca. She did all ballet contemporary
The
movements.
lyrical stuff, yeah.
And her ability to adapt to folklore, anything you would throw her in, she'd get it like nothing. And I was like, oh, I guess there is something to this, because I couldn't do it. And I couldn't adapt to, hip hop. I couldn't adapt to ballet. I couldn't adapt to contemporary. So there's this huge lack where I specialized too much and I didn't get any foundation. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm wrong. I need to learn this ballet stuff. This is important. Because if you don't learn it, you're just not going to get there.
I'm so glad that you say that, because I instill that in my dancers. I have a lot of dancers from different backgrounds. They have very traditional backgrounds. Some of them do a little bit of the lyrical stuff. Some students come from other stylized folklorico groups. And my favorite ones are the ones that have the classical training already, because they go to an art school or they're studio kids. So they have the foundation. And so I tell them this is the example I give them. It's like building a house without a foundation. What's going to happen when the first storm hits? It's going to crumble. It's going to fall. You need that foundation. Ballet is universal. Anybody that's serious about dance needs to have some sort of understanding, some sort of knowledge of the ballet training. I'm not a ballet dancer, and I don't want my dancers to be ballet dancers, but I want them to understand the technique, understand their corporal movements, and be able to build from there. They're always going to have an advantage when you're dealing with another type of dancer that doesn't have the training, because you can learn El Son de la Negra however many ways, but when it's a traditional style, it's more organic and people take to it. When you have the danza background, you learn the dance and it's wonderful. When you compare it to stylized or technical folklorico, then that's where the disconnect happens. The arms are not extended. The footing is not correct. Dancers get sickled. They're not turned out. They don't have a strong core. So I'm glad that you say that, because it really validates the work that I'm trying to achieve with my dancers. There's a lot of stylized companies in LA. I always say that LA is the capital of folklorico outside the motherland. Maybe the people from Texas are not going to be too excited about that, because there's a large folklorico community in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of, they're probably up there, but LA really, it's like, let me tell you, I don't know. New York has
Nephilim. That's the only one I've seen on social media. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right,
who?
but N-E.
Oh, the Nepantla people.
They're the only people I know.
Yeah,
from
there's
New York.
Calpulli. Calpulli's been around, I think, for a little bit longer. But what I'm saying is, New York has, musical theater. Chicago has ballet, jazz, you name it, and all these cities throughout the United States have their style of dance that characterizes that specific city. LA has folklorico, and so that's wonderful, So having all these groups, all these companies that come together and that provide that platform for dancers to learn and train. I respect any style, as long as it's well done, it's well rehearsed, and it's well presented on stage. I'm all for it. I don't know if it's an advantage or a disadvantage, but I always get invited to judge in competitions, which is a little sensitive for me, because who am I to sit there and tell these people, oh, you're doing it wrong? Art has no rules. You can do your interpretation and it's just as valid as mine. And whatever I like doesn't mean that you're going to like. It's relative, right? But it's interesting when they invite you to judge and to, I guess I've learned to process it differently. I say, this is just my opinion. And I write it down. I put notes for them. This is how I feel, or this is what I think. It's really interesting that, when they invite me to do these competitions, I get to see all of the work. And if they're stylized, it doesn't mean that I'm going to judge them any differently from a group that's very traditionally based, because that's where I came from. And if it's well done, I applaud the work and I think it's wonderful. So yeah, it's very interesting that you say that.
That gives you an advantage though, being a judge, because for the folklorico competitions I participated in, I just had good teachers. So usually, hands down, I would always place in some place. And I put recently for when I was working with Tierra Blanca, it was kind of like the girls went there, and you could tell between the judges that were just purely danza, and you could tell the judges that were purely modern, and then the ones that knew both. Because the ones that knew both could give you the best show notes. They could be like, oh, this is this, here. And it was more written where it was like, if you put a contemporary piece on there, it's like, you could tell which judge was like, oh, smile more. And you're just like,
I agree.
that doesn't help me. But thanks, guy. I appreciate it.
No, I agree. Just recently, I judge at a competition, and I always like when I'm sitting in the panel of judges and they all have different, styles or different backgrounds. And I'm very conflicted, I'll be honest with you, when they ask me to judge the Latin categories, because I don't do Latin dance. I don't do salsa. I don't do merengue. I do it socially, but I don't think that it's something that I'm qualified to judge. It's not my forte. And then I was conflicted, and I told one of the judges, who I know has a very extensive background in everything. I mean, she knows everything that you can possibly imagine. And she looked at me, and she really changed my perspective. She said, Rafael, you know when someone's doing it right. You know accents, you know transitions, you know showmanship, projection, execution, all of the above, So if someone comes out here and they're not doing it right, you're more than qualified to know, because you're an artist. And I said to her, wow, thank you for giving me that perspective, because it was very challenging for me. It was a little challenging for me. So, but yes, you're right. It is an advantage. I try to be as objective as I possibly can, giving critique. And that's why I'm very hard on my dancers, because I tell them, look, I'm sitting in that table with all that panel with all these judges. And here I am sitting there, scoring, what is it?
Point system, whatever.
Giving, critiquing, if you will. And then I show up with my group, and they're like, oh, that's the judge? That's the work that he puts on there? You guys are my business card, so you guys have to be amazing. Are you going to show up to work with your little Xerox printed, little cheapy business card? Or are you going to show up with that nice, glossy, hardstock in color? It's what I tell them. So just the same way that I am very critical, or what's the word I want to use? I'm always very demanding with what I want to see on stage. I have to be true to my convictions, and that's why I expect the same from my dancers.
You push them. That's all you do. You push them to their potential, and then to the artistic vision, because you don't want to give just a half-baked performance. Because it's like, it is a lot about the audience when they see it, and you can tell an audience engage. And when you are working the music right, and it builds on that like excitement, then when you go out there perform and they're just like dead fish, and you're just like, just like, oh, I should yell now, huh? I should make this exciting, because this is boring. We're boring the crap out of them. They're like, when's the rock festival gonna start? Because that's what I signed up for. Like, what's this folklorico gonna do?
Yeah, it's true. I don't feel like, and I even tell my dancers this too, and I'm telling you, like, I don't know everything. I was very lucky, like yourself. You just made an interesting comment. I didn't have a sad folklorico story. I had really good maestros. My teachers were so talented, and they were so demanding, and they always held me to a higher standard. And so that's the legacy that I want to carry on with my dancers. And I do push them. And I tell them this because I've also discovered in the competitions, I have friends that I respect a lot that really are against it. They feel that it doesn't bring the folklorico community together, that it creates a division. I don't agree with it entirely. I think that it's just, it's life. You have to be competitive, and some people are better than others. And that's how you wake up, and that's how you prepare for success. That's how you learn. So I feel that way. But I've noticed, and it was a sad realization. Like, I see some groups that, I see the students that are eager and that they have the enthusiasm and maybe the passion, but they don't have the execution. They don't have the foundation. They learn dances. They just learn, okay, let me teach you el tilingo-lingo, and here's the step 1, 2, 3. But there's no foundation behind it. And then you think about it and you're like, well, it's really not their fault. It's not something that they've been exposed to. And that's why our art form is viewed as a secondary art form. They always think, oh, folklorico, and they kind of look over the shoulder. And I think that we need to take that image and we have to change it. We are just as valuable as the ballet companies, the modern dance companies, the jazz companies, even flamenco gets a higher recognition.
Oh, yeah.
I've worked with flamenco companies for years. You know, I studied flamenco in Spain and Sevilla. I mean, well, that's a stretch, but I've taken classes. When I was in Spain, I learned the art of flamenco. It's an art form that I really respect and that I'm really drawn to. Like every time I see Spanish dancing, it really excites me, and it makes me feel so passionate and so just energized, if you know. And so I've worked with flamenco companies, and when they go to certain venues, they're treated the same, you know. And I want to change that image. I want when you go to like specific venues, whether it be a theater or an academy, a dance studio, and they know that a folklorico company is going to be there, I want them to be respected and treated, you know, equally.
Yeah, you're seeing it right now. The Downey Theater is taking a lot of folklorico groups. I've noticed that there's like maybe 4 or 5 folklorico groups
in the season. Oh yeah,
in the season performing at the Downey Theater, and I'm like, there's recognition there. And then in the back of my business mind, I'm like, well, they better sell tickets, because if they're not marketing and selling tickets, they're gonna be like, folklorico. What? So half the stage can be empty, and it's kind of like, and it's that's just the way I see it. It's like there's the creative where you want to be respected, but then there's a business part of it. There's a market sense.
You have to, and I think that's one of the reasons why the John Anson Ford, the amphitheater, they also cater to. I don't want to say Latino events, specifically Mexican events. They have mariachi there. They have folklorico groups there. And the reason why is because every time that these companies, these artists put on a show there, they have a full house. And I think that that's what theaters look at. They don't want to see the theater, the house half empty. You know, they want to see that there's interest, that there is a market for that. And that also represents their theater well. But, you know, we've been lucky to perform everywhere. Since my inception in 1998, we've performed in major theaters in Los Angeles. We've been part of the Ford, or we've produced at the Ford, I should say, the San Gabriel Mission, which it was our home for over a decade.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that's such a beautiful venue. It's historic and it's amazing. We were one of the first folklorico companies to start performing at the Downey. It was like a little hidden gem. Nobody knew about the Downey Civic, and then I went to a show there to see, I want to say Mixteco, Ballet Folklorico Mixteco. I think it was them or maybe Agualuna, who doesn't exist anymore. But they were a really cool company that emerged in, I think, the early 90s or mid 90s. And I saw them there. And then when I saw the theater, I was actually really intrigued because it had 2 small stages. And so my creative mind started circling, and I was like, oh, I can have musicians here, and I can have a special number here, and we don't have to strike anything, because that's a pain. When you produce live and you have musicians, that's the biggest challenge, because then the stage entirely doesn't belong to you as a dancer. You have to share the space. You have to reduce choreography. You have to modify things that are kind of, challenging, because as a dancer, and you can relate to this, the stage is our temple. And that's where, our religion happens, and we don't want anybody to infiltrate that. But when you have other artists that are accompanying you, then it becomes a challenge. And I think the Downey is really cool because they have space for that. And so everybody's in their area. And that's the reason why we went there. And then other groups I know would come and see the shows, and then they started
just booking
the place.
Yeah, because there's a lot of maestros that put in their time now, and they have those big groups. Like the ones that have put in, I think, an average of like 15 years or over, they're performing in these theaters now, and you're just seeing it over and over. They see you, they're like, oh, he did it? Oh, I have as much time as him. I got as many students as him. I think I can do it. And then they go for it.
Yeah, and you need to have the proper support system too. The engine of a conservatory like mine is operated by the parents. I'm the facilitator. I'm there to instruct. I provide the classes. I have a team of people that assist me with the artistic aspect of it. Then you have the other side, which is the operational side, the administrative side. And then you have those people. But truly, like, to catapult ticket sales, it's the friends and family. All the folklorico aficionados I think that those three components are instrumental. You have families. Obviously, the parents are going to sell the tickets, whether they buy them and then they gift them or they sell them to their family members. And that's really how you bring in or how you attract an audience. But if you have a large group and you have the proper support system, I don't see why not. It's very expensive to produce a folklorico show in a theater.
No, it is.
Yeah, people
just
think
the
it's
union dues and everything,
Oh, yeah.
and then the deposits on top of that. You're looking quite a bit of money.
Yeah, it's not so much the actual venue, what the venue costs, like the standard rental fee. It's all the
Your light guy,
additions.
your sound engineer, the stage hands, the current, everybody.
Everybody gets paid, and then if you have to extend your rehearsal, then they slap you with double time, and then so it's very challenging. But I have to tell you, Daniel, it's very rewarding. It is. It's very rewarding, and I wouldn't change that for anything, because at the end of the day, it's putting your vision to fruition, and you have all these amazing students who really believe in the art form, and they're really passionate, and they want to carry forward the work and the vision that you've instilled. And so I think that's the most powerful thing.
Yeah, because when I ask people, because I always ask people what they want out of folklorico, and it's just the majority of one is like, oh, I want to perform in theaters. That's where I want to be. I want to be in a theater. I want to put on a theatrical show. Well, I want to be part of a theatrical show.
Yeah.
Put it on.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's two different worlds.
Yes, I know.
And you just look at it and you're just like, oh, okay, man. That's all you want to do? Sounds good. Okay.
Well, because they want the glitz and the glamour, but they don't understand that in order to get there, there's a lot of work that you have to invest. You have to put in. A true artist puts in the work. I've always said that. A true artist has to invest. They have to be consistent. They have to be able to rehearse all the time, or when it's expected of them to rehearse. But most importantly, there's a huge responsibility that you as an artist and the director, I can speak for all my fellow directors, the responsibility is tremendous, because people are actually paying money to come and see you. And if you don't deliver a good show, that follows you, because guess what? They're not going to come next year. Yeah. So it is a big responsibility. Yeah.
So do you have like a system, the way you put shows together, like music wise, or like, do you have breaks here? Do you like capturing the audience here, or like, what do you personally do to like put together like this grand performance?
Well, I've learned throughout the years. Well, I want to give you a very honest answer. When I first started, it was more like I just wanted to do the regions that I enjoyed the most. I'm very diverse as far as taste, like my range in taste, if you will. Like, I love southern states that other folkloristas may find as boring. I personally enjoy them so much. I love the slow music. I love the movement. I love the mystery behind all of that. And then you have like the northern and the central states that are a little bit more festive, and they're more bravios, and they're more upbeat, to for lack of a better word. And so I would just maybe do a couple of states from the north, a couple of states from the central regions, and a couple of states from the south, and obviously Jalisco, because that's the most representative state that the folklorico companies represent. And I was very selective as far as that. Then I learned that I needed to ask my dancers. You always want to be in control as a director, and it's your final say what regions are going to be in that production. But I asked the dancers, like, well, what do you guys want to learn next? Kind of like informal conversations, like, what is it that you want to learn? Oh, we really want to do Tabasco. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, let's start exploring some dances. Or, we saw this new region that we loved, and it's Querétaro, and they have these really cool wapangos. And I'm like, maybe we need to start looking into that. And then that's how I draw inspiration. And I say, okay, so then I've learned to also pay attention to that, because then you know that the dancers are going to be excited to perform. And then that gets transmitted to the audience. But essentially now what I do is I like to take the audience members on a roller coaster. Like, we can start super strong so that the the bar is set high for the actual production, and then you have to bring it down a little bit so that they can kind of wind down, and then you have to elevate them and bring them down, and then you plateau for a little bit just to give them a chance to kind of digest what's happening on stage, and then boom, you end with a bang. So it's really important that you're able to create those levels, so that the dancers need to rest, from a technical aspect. The dancers need to be able to enjoy the show. You can't exhaust them by doing Chihuahua, Calabaciado, Apatzingan, and Durango, and all these, super high energy and cardio invested regions. And you need to be able to create a balance also for them. And if that balance is created perfectly, the audience is going to enjoy it. Because if the dancers don't enjoy it, the audience members, I guarantee you, are not going to enjoy it.
No, the energy's not there.
The energy's not there. And as a director, you shoot yourself in the foot because you didn't create a show that was going to play with the audience's emotions and take them on that roller coaster.
Yeah, you want that ebb and flow constantly.
Correct.
Playing with
Yeah,
them.
that's exactly what it is.
And then have you ever thought about, because you mentioned that you asked your students, what do you want to learn? What do you want to do? Have you ever thought about having your students, present, songs that they want to do to you, but giving them slight creative control over it to present that product?
I have actually. I don't make a general presentation, about that. It's more like, how do I say this without sounding?
Say it. I don't know.
It has to be the dancer has to earn it, and so if the dancer is super talented, and I feel that is more than qualified to be able to take that on and showcase something to me and say, hey, by the way, I want to be able to present this, then I'm very receptive to that because I know that they've paid their dues in a sense, and that they've earned the right to do that, and they've earned my respect as far as their dance ability is concerned. Because at the end of the day, whatever goes on stage is my representation. If they do very, very bad, if they do very, very good, the audience will say, oh my God, yes, the dancers were beautiful and the dancers were great and such an amazing company. But if they do very poorly, oh, el maestro doesn't know what he's doing. And that's what you get. So you have to be able to control that. And I guess control is not the proper word. You have to be able to take care of that so that you don't, you're able to, you want to make sure that whatever's being presented is quality work that's going to go hand in hand with your vision, if that makes any sense. And so I've had dancers, like one of my boys who's super talented, Irvin Garcia, he teaches my level 1. I would never allow anybody to teach my level 1.
Well, that's your foundation.
Yeah, those are the babies. They're very impressionable. They're little sponges. They absorb everything. And he's very qualified to do that. So he's one of the few people that I've actually let come in and say, give him carte blanche, like, hey, do what you want to do with them, get them, started. Even if we're not going to do this in our repertoire, it's really important that they start learning different styles and different rhythms, and they start, polishing their musical sense. And so I let him do that. He's very good. Recently, I have another dancer, Victoria, who comes in and she's very good. She has very calm energy, which is a juxtaposed to mine because I'm very super, animated, and she creates that balance for them. So she's recently come in to help me as far as that. And then you have Brian, who is my assistant director, who actually choreographs entire suites. And so he learns them, and then he's very artistically inclined. He makes all of my headpieces. He's made some of the costuming. And he comes around and he has these, ideas of what needs to be done in a specific region per se. And sometimes I don't even know what he wants to do. I just know that what he's going to do is going to be
you have trust.
great.
You have trust to let go of the wheel
and he delivers. So yes, to answer your question, yes, I do allow that, but it just can't be to everyone that comes and says, oh, I learned Calabaciado last weekend at a workshop, and here's what I want to do. But then the student doesn't have the student's not there yet, as far as your expectations are concerned. And so you want to be able to let them know that you're willing to allow that once they've earned your trust.
You know, that's a special case because what is it? I'm a big fan of like attention and who has the attention. As in like just when I go on social media or when I see stuff or when I listen to people talk or read comments, it's like you notice people that stand out. And one of the people that notice stands out for everything and he's in everybody's feed is Irvin. Irvin stands out a ton.
You know Irvin?
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Irvin,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, no, from like what is it? Because I'm friends with Jessica, and then Jessica works with Irvin.
Yeah. Well, Jessica actually just joined my group not so long ago.
Oh shit!
Yeah, she started about, I want to say about 3 weeks ago. She's going. I think it's going to be about a month. But I've known Jessica for years because I've known Jessica since she was like a teenager. We do Mariachi USA together. I choreograph for Mariachi USA, and so she's one of the every year. She's one of the cast members that is on a permanent basis. So it's really cool. So yeah, I didn't know that you knew Irvin.
Yeah, what is it? I've met him, talked to him. Like I think he also danced like a couple times with my wife and stuff like that. But he has like from what I've seen from Irvin is he has the attention where it's like he's known as Irvin the folklorico dancer, Irvin the instructor, and I think that's really really good in my opinion. Yeah,
it is very good. I think that when you're able to build a brand or you're starting to build a brand, like I've thought about this for years. Like I remember. I want to say about 5 years ago, somebody asked me like, "Oh, have you? What is it that you think about your folklorico career now? Like, do you think you've arrived?" Or I'm like, "No, I will never arrive because that's the day that I'm going to be stagnant. That I'm not going to, continue learning. But I did say this. I just feel that now." I'm beginning to have the company that I always wanted to have. It was always like, yes, I had a group of students that were amazing and we were working to creating something, maybe to a higher level, if you will. But just in the past 10 years, I feel like the group has really found its feet, no pun intended, as far as just establishing some sort of a brand and being able to have that recognition. And then in this, circle or in this, in this line of business, if you will, your reputation is all that you have. If you have a good reputation and if you know how to work well with other maestros, other dancers, theaters, you go to festivals and you have a good reputation and you do things the right way, that's beneficial to you. People are always going to respect you and you're always going to be invited back. I really believe that.
No, that's completely true. And then on top of it, I want to talk about you're traveling now. You're going to Arizona. You're going to Chicago. You're going to just different places all over the place, giving workshops, giving classes.
Yeah, I have actually. I'll be honest with you. I am afraid of traveling. I'm terrified of flying. It's always been something that I've had ever since I've been, I was a child. I don't like going, getting on an airplane. It's always very challenging for me, but I love traveling. I love seeing different places. So I always say that that's the price that I have to pay, that I have to endure this whole, anxiety that I, get when I jump on a plane and, anyway, but I've been invited. I'm so fortunate. Like I've been invited to do workshops throughout the country. Like I go to Seattle, I go to Denver, I go to Chicago. I'm going to Oklahoma. I'm going to Oregon soon, but I've gone to like Arizona, Texas. I don't remember where else I've gone. Well, Nevada, but that's just our next door neighbor. But I've traveled to a lot of states. I've been to Minneapolis, to St. Paul. So there's all kinds of different cities nationwide that I visited with the purpose of teaching folklorico. And that's a huge, that's a huge deal to me because I feel like I never really even planned that. It was just more like me transmitting videos on going live on Facebook, and then you get that director that likes what you're doing, and then they send me a message. Maestro, we really like this piece. Can you come and work with us? And so that's how it happens. I sometimes just like to have fun. I go live on Facebook just to show the rehearsal, or sometimes I even do it to, light a fire under the dancers, like, hey guys, I'm live. You better shape up, because people are watching this. And then through that, I'm able to get invitations. I go up north a lot too. I go to like the Sonoma and Napa Valley. There's a couple of groups there that I work with regularly that are amazing and that I really enjoy. One of my sobrinos, Victor Ferrer, he has a really cool company in Sonoma that I work with. So I go there, and then I go to Petaluma with another friend of mine, who Juan Ramon and Elia Solar. Well, the Solar couple, they manage the company, and they believe in the good intention of my work, so they always invite me. So in California, I have a lot of solid relationships with a lot of folklorico groups that I've been invited to continue working with. But when you're invited to go out of state and to how can I explain this to you? It's just such a gift, for me to be able to go. These people don't know who I am. They don't know if I'm crazy. They don't know if I'm going to be able to deliver and show up and do something that that's out of their element and that they're not going to be happy with. But yet when I'm there, it's such a big deal to them that it's kind of like an aha pinch me moment for me that these people actually believe in the work that I do. So I consider myself very lucky.
Oh, completely.
I really do.
That's the crazy part, because people know who you are, but they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Because the social media that you put on, and then like the way like you put yourself out there, when they meet you and they're like, oh yeah, I saw it in the story. I completely agree with that guy. And they meet you in person, it's like you guys are friends already.
Yeah.
Like they have that openness to them.
Yeah.
And stuff like
That's how it is. I've met a lot of interesting people through social media, which is that's the power of social media, that you tap into this huge network. And now with folklorico and dance in general, you see people doing stuff in the other side of the country, sometimes in a different continent. They're doing folklorico, and I've met a lot of very valuable people now in my life. Like there's the group in Arizona, in Phoenix, Ressurreccion Dance Company.
Yeah, I booked him. Frank, if you're watching, the Army's pulling me away, so I'm going to have to reschedule on you.
Yeah.
So I haven't told him yet. I
met Frank actually through Facebook. And it was just so interesting because he's so colorful, and he's very vocal with his vision, and he's very blunt, unapologetic. And that's the kind of people that I like to be surrounded by, because what you see is what you get. And in a sense, I feel like I'm the same way. Like there's no like gray area for me. It's either it's black or it's white. And so when I met him, just having conversations about, dance and his vision, and just recently he had his first concert. I was the stage manager because I also do lighting, and I do I manage.
And where'd you learn that from?
I learned it just in theater by working with all these companies. The first year at Cal State LA, they opened. I don't know if you're familiar with the Luckman, the Fine Arts. Okay, well, we inaugurated the Luckman when I used to work at the high school, so we were given the opportunity to work with the technicians there. That was like kind of like the first leap that I took into the technical aspect of theater, and I pay attention. I'm very good at that. Like I zoom in and I retain information very quickly. Not as good as I used to 20 years ago, but I retain information. And so I learned a lot of the theater terminology through there. And also when I dance with these professional dance companies, 90% of the platform that was given to us was in theater venues, so you have to learn the terminology. You have to be able to communicate with the technicians. And then that's how you earn their respect as well, because they know what you're talking about. And so, and through that, I was able to learn. I worked with many lighting designers that I would convey my vision to them, and then I would see the execution, and they would tell me the do's and don'ts. And that's how I was able to develop that ability. And so now I design my own lights when I go to the theater. I sit there and I build all my show. And I've done that for a lot of groups. I've done it for a group in Denver, Semblanzas in Mexico. James, who's a friend of mine, James Holguin. He has this really cool company in Denver, and I've designed his lights and his show, and I've stage managed his show, and then now I did it with Frank, and I've done it with other groups as well. So I don't just do the folklorico director, maestro aspect of it. I can also do the technical aspect of it.
No, you have to do everything.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Like, I think you probably picked up quick, because I feel like, it's no longer just putting out, just knowing how to like do photo shoots, do this, do that. It's becoming media.
Yeah.
And it's going more and more towards that. And you basically have that.
Yeah,
Like you're mastering that
you.
whole media side of lighting, especially in the theater part.
Yeah, thank you. And it's so helpful because I know what I want to see on stage. And sometimes when people are not familiar with folklorico, they don't create that look, that specific essence that you want to create on stage. So when you're able to do it yourself, then you know that your vision comes to fruition. You know, and so I'm very, very excited to be able to do that, and I enjoy it very much too. Actually, I sometimes I would rather just sit on that side of the stage and just call the cues and wear the headset and try to create this whole story for the audience. But being a director and being a dancer in general is it's a lifestyle for me. It's not like, oh, is that your hobby? Or no, it's a lifestyle. It's part of who I am, and I enjoy it very much. I would be lying to you if I say I would change it for something else. It wouldn't be true.
Well, no, you'll get big enough. I mean, at some point, that's what it happens. It's like you start off and you're dancing with your group, and then you get big enough to the point where you're like, now you're directing the group. After you direct the group, now you're doing the whole ensemble.
Yeah.
And after the ensemble, now you're managing all those little things.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going and going. You get away from the dance, but you're still part of the dance because you're still thinking about it all the time.
And that's how it is. Like I can't dance anymore because I have arthritis in my knees. So if I do a lot of stomping, I release a lot of fluids, and then it's very painful. And then I'm out of commission for like 4 weeks, and it happens when you get older. But I think that the reason why I've been able to stay in this realm of dance is because I live through my dancers. When they deliver, when they perform, when they execute, to me it's just as satisfying as if I were sharing the stage with them, if that makes any sense. And I really think that that's something that has kept me motivated. If I didn't have them as dancers and I couldn't dance myself, then that would be a very sad story. It would be a different story. And then my little ones, who, the babies, they are like the inspiration. They're the ones that you think that they're not going to learn something, and you underestimate them a little, but then they prove you wrong because they do more than what you expected. And then that's your inspiration to take it to the intermediate kids who are a little bit more technically prepared, and they're more skillful, or they have a stronger ability, if you will. And then that's how the whole story begins. You have the inspiration, you have these students who are your promise. I call my intermediate students my promise. Level 1, inspiration. Level 2, my promise. And I have the company they're telling my story, And so it's very rewarding, and I'm very fortunate, I'm telling you. I really am.
No, what is it? Because I got my first teaching gig, well, early, but I guess the official one where I was under somebody and I was getting paid for it was I taught for a nonprofit program, De Colores, out in, I think their station, it was in La Mirada. And those kids were all little. And the ones that stuck with it and are with it, they're like 15, 16, 17. I mean, I'm only 28. So they're like, 7, 8 when I got them. And to see their transition completely grown up. And I saw some of them at the competition we did. And I was like, oh, wow. What? You're already 17? How old are you? Well, I was 6 when we like this and that. And I was like, oh, wow,
so nice to see that.
Good job. Yeah. But they look at you like they look at you like, look at what I've done. Look at what I've achieved. And you just look at them like, man, I remember when you were a kid. I didn't think people grew up that fast.
Exactly.
They grew up that fast.
And it's so nice to see them stick to it, because even like I've had over 500 dancers that have gone or that have passed through RMF, and some stories have been happy endings, some have not. And when these dancers leave at an early age, one of my biggest sadnesses is that they're not going to continue dancing. And to me, it's if I know that they went somewhere else and that they're still dancing, that makes me happy, because I don't want them to interrupt that just because there was a misunderstanding or we couldn't get along, with the parents or whatever it is. For me, it's always important that they continue. And it's so nice when you see them as children, and then you see them in high school, and then they go off to college, and it's like, wow, I'm a little bit more selfish when it comes to that, because I don't like to see them grow. Like even my little ones, when I see them going to the intermediate group, it's like, ow, they're getting older. I'm going to lose them. And then it's I'm so conflicted by that, because I wish that I could freeze time and they could stay the age that they are, and that I could have them for the next 50 years. But that's not a reality. That's not life.
No, everybody grows up. But that intermediate stage is interesting, because that's when people quit. That's when they make decisions.
I've had that experience with some dancers.
Because they're little and they do it, and then it becomes this part where they're like 12, 13, 14, where they're like, man, I have to go to dance practice a lot, but my friends are inviting me over here. Because I went through it. I went through that stage, and it was like, luckily, like I was getting paid to dance folklorico at the time, so it was kind of like I would dip in and out. And be like, you know what, I'll just do it when they pay me. Or if somebody needs help, I'll do it. Because I wanted to hang out with my friends. It was like I was going through high school, and you just want to hang out with girls. You want to hang out with girls, and then you want to hang out with your buddies, and you just want to do all the different events and go to everything. And I didn't want to go to dance practice.
Yeah, like, no, it's true. Yeah. And I've seen it with some of my students too. I was an anomaly. Like I thought I was a rare breed. I was a different type of kid. I didn't care for any of that. For me, I wanted to be at rehearsal. I wanted to be at the studio. Like I hated when they canceled folklorico practice. I hated it. Like it ruined my entire afternoon. So, and I was not like, oh, I'm going to go to homecoming. What? Like, what's that? I wanted to be in practice. And I'm very competitive by nature. So I didn't want to be put in the back. I wanted to continue, keeping my spots in the front. And that really didn't interest me. I always wanted to be at rehearsal. I think it was my calling from a very early age. I enjoyed being in the studio. I loved, continue to love the environment of a classroom, a rehearsal setting. And I didn't struggle with that as a teenager, as a young adult. It was more like I didn't even go out on Saturdays when I was young, when I was your age, because I had rehearsal on Sunday. And if I went out, it was with the mentality that it's going to be a tough morning and I have to be prepared for that. But that was my choice. But I was more dedicated to just sticking to rehearsals and to continue building my dance abilities.
Now, what age group were you practicing with at the time when you were going through that stage?
We were all like in high school. We were. Yeah. I was a what do you call 10th graders now? Sophomores?
Yeah, sophomores.
I was a sophomore, and my 11th grade year was probably the hardest year. My junior year, it was the hardest year, and then in high school, I just wanted to be in folklorico. Like I wanted to dance, I wanted to learn. That's when I think that's when I probably understood that I was going to be a teacher, because it just came naturally to me. And even my own like peers would come to me instead of going to the maestro, which I found that was very interesting. Because like, well, let's ask Rafael. Let's ask him how you do the step. And then the maestros, I was teacher's pet. So maestros would be like, Rafael, show them the step. Stand in the front. And so I knew that I had that leadership kind of ability, and so I think that's when I discovered that I was going to be a teacher. And I loved it. I loved it. And I guess that's the reason why I was a little bit weird compared to other teenagers that I see now that, I understand that they want to go to homecoming and they want to do all these activities. And I'm for that. I'm cool, because that's those are your high school years. They're never going to come back. I encourage that. I do. And I don't frown upon it. To me, it's more like, I remember not being interested entirely, but when I had stuff to do, I had to make a lot of sacrifices too. There was times where it was either you go to this event or you go to folklorico practice. And for me, it was always folklorico practice that I wanted to go to. So, but those were my choices, and I made those sacrifices. And you can't expect people to do the same thing.
I think that was a big difference, because for as long as I can remember, until I tried finding a group, which I never did, was I only practiced with adults from the age of like 12, 13. It was all adults. All adults, and the only kids I would practice with would be Jessica, And then I would see her only when we would have gigs that we're getting paid for, so it's in and out. Even though she'd be like, "Come practice," and I'm like, "I don't need to practice."
I can just show up.
That was my mentality. I used to get yelled at all the time, and it'd be like, "It's negative. We do it the same way. Okay, we're fine." And but yeah, from a lot of the groups, because I was with Miss Juanita for a long time, and I jumped over to Folklorico USA with Lily Moniz. And then
Lily, I love Lily. Yeah, Lily and I used to dance together too, so I know Lily very well.
So yeah, she was danced with her and for a little bit, but then my schedule changed with school, so like I couldn't really continue because of the practice times, and I made a decision to do my events and dance. I just switched groups, and then I moved to Rosemary. And then
who's Rosemary?
Rosemary Corona. She works out in La Habra.
I heard of Rosemary. Yeah, I don't think have I met her.
Maybe.
What's the name of her group?
Así es mi tierra.
I want to meet. I think we. Oh no! I heard of Rosemary because we did a show not so long ago, like a festival, and her group was present. We also performed. So you dance with her too?
Yeah,
that's so cool.
So I worked with her, and then after that, my original maestra got mad at me, and she's like, "Come on, you need to learn. You need to do better." So then she put me with Emilio Rivas. She introduced me to him. I love Emilio. Emilio's great. Emilio's a pioneer. He started Ballet Folklorico de la Universidad de Guadalajara. A lot of people don't know that. He is so underrated.
Yeah, he is. And he's such a gem. He's such he's one of those, few maestros that really carry the history of Folklorico from when it really started, emerging, like when people started noticing Folklorico in Mexico. With La Universidad de Guadalajara, and then it was he worked side by side with Rafael but then that's when Emilio came to the States, and but he was one of the pioneers of Folklorico even here in LA, which is such a big deal. He needs to be recognized for that.
He introduced it. I remember working with him with Cycle, and introduced us to his maestro Emilio Pulido, and then he would tell us about Samaripa.
I worked with Emilio Pulido. But he passed away, right? Some time ago.
He was old when
we learned. I worked with him. I think he taught at one of the Danzantes Unidos events, and that's where I met him. But Emilio's great, and there's a lot of in LA we've had the gift of having amazing maestros that really brought. LA has a history of Folklorico since the 1930s, and a lot of people don't know that either. But Folklorico in LA was introduced in the 1930s, and there's very, very key people that are still with us that were instrumental in initiating that we are all these Folklorico groups now we're taking advantage of. So thanks to them,
yeah. So that's pretty much. I jumped, and then after that, I jumped around. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, dancers, teachers. I had to put up with my cocky little bratty butt. But yeah.
But now that you're instructing, that you're directing, you see it differently, and you I think that you are able to inspire your new generation of students and instilling that discipline. I was very lucky that I learned it at a very early age, so. For me, it's kind of like second nature, but it's always fun, and it's always exciting to work with new dancers and to meet new. Like when I do these workshops throughout the country, I'm happy because they teach me how to be a better maestro. I'm used to my dancers. I know how to talk to them. I know what's going to work. I know what's not going to work. But when you go to these other groups that you have no idea what the dynamic is or what their structure is, and you come in and you're able to lay the law and you get a result, and then you learn also from them. They teach you how to be a better maestro.
Completely, yeah.
I learned from them tremendously, and I always say that to them too. I said, look, I know that you guys are grateful that I'm here, but I'm just as grateful that I'm actually learning to be a better director because of you guys. And I think it's important that they hear that.
No, it's important. Like I always say, like I've lived by this ethos since I've had to teach people math in the 6th grade. It's like I talk to adults like babies, and I treat babies like adults. I talk to adults like kids, and then treat kids like adults. Because kids don't know anything. So if you set the bar at 1,000, you're good to go. Yeah. Adults, you need to work with so you understand where they come from.
That is very powerful. Yeah. You couldn't have worded better, because I've experienced that with some of my students where I feel like with the little ones, I can't talk to them like, pobrecita. Like it's not in my nature to do that. So I'm very stern with them, but then they develop that ability to just go with it. And they're standing there like little soldiers and they just deliver. And that's such a big deal, you know?
Yeah, just standing there, just setting that tone. Because that's how, when I when I worked with the first group, the Colores, it was like, that's how I taught. I tried to teach like a dad that you like, but you didn't want to talk to. That's like, to this day, I still try to teach. I'm a little more loose.
I don't know anything about that, so no comment.
So, like, that's how it was with my dad. My dad was like, I knew my dad liked me. I knew my dad loved me. But, like, you didn't talk to your dad. Like,
got it.
He showed up to work and you just went straight to your room and you shut up. You respected him.
Of course.
But at the same time, you knew he had your back.
Of course.
Yeah, the whole time. So that's the same type of teaching style. If you, like, sit through one of my practices, it's like I'm speaking very directly, very clear. Get it done. I'm doing it with you. But then at the same time, like, if I want to joke around, like, make it
it's
more
true.
relaxed.
It has to be. There has to be that balance, you know. There's times where I'm very stern and I'm very rigid, and I expect that the rehearsal to run that way. And then there's times that if we're doing it right and we have the time, then I will, you know, throw in a little icebreaker and we laugh and, you know, we have a couple of laughs together. And I think that's also important. But it can't be all the time. You know, rehearsal needs to be a place where you go and you're working, and it's unfortunately, it's a stressful environment most of the time because you're trying to achieve something. And that's really what rehearsal should be about. However, there are times where you have to, you know, relax a little bit, and, you know, but only when it's convenient, when it's, you know, deliberate, if you will.
No, completely. Because I looked at my practices as like watching tape and gameplay and stuff like that from pictures, recordings, and going over everything that I do. And it's always just playing upon like, okay, did it flow? Okay, here there was a little awkwardness. Why was it awkward? Why didn't this connect it here? Do I need to change this? How do I change this? And it's always reworking the machine and the system, because like I want to build a factory where it produces professionals that are known. If that makes sense. So
yes, I
agree.
agree.
Anybody that comes out of my group in the future, this is like 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the line, I want you to be like, oh, Cindy? Yeah, I know Cindy, you're from Folklor America. I know that you know all these techniques. I know that you have the ballet basics. I know I can put you in the front. Like, I don't want them to earn any place when they go to a different group. Which sounds weird. It kind of might build an entitlement in them. I'm not going to lie. It might build an entitlement in them. But I want them to show up to the director and knows, okay, if this person shows up for 3 months straight and is committed, I'm going to move them here. And then I'm going to put them front and center.
It's true.
That's the only thing they would need to approve is
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. And you have to work towards things. You know, nothing has been handed to me ever. Nothing. Everything that I've achieved, I'm honest with you, Daniel, I've earned. I've worked really hard for it. Things are not given to me. Here, it's easy here. No, I've always worked really hard for everything that I have. And that's why I think I'm very passionate and I'm very demanding, and I have very high expectations because I know what it was for me to achieve or what it took for me to achieve what I have. And I want to be prepared for bigger things in the future. And if I have that foundation, then I think I'm ready for success.
Yeah, that's the tough part for me. Because, like, what did you start dancing? How old were you?
I was 7 when I started dancing.
Yeah, so we both grew up with it. And, like, my thing was, like, you just practice. You just get better. There's always been this internal thing of, like, my wife said it when she first met me. She's all like, oh, yeah, you're a cocky prick and you thought you were all that. And you always try too hard. You always try too hard. And I'm like, well, no, you go to practice to work. And it wasn't like, this is what I do. I work hard. I was like, no, I show up. I work the 2 hours. Then I joke around. And just doing that continuously gets you spots to the front. So naturally, when I would join different groups and I would work and they would be like, damn, this guy shows up. Because my mom forced me to go early all the time. This guy shows up a half hour early every single time in practice. He's always there. He says yes to everything. He pushes himself harder to like work. He's just completely drenched in sweat. And that's what I want to show my dancers. I want to show the process of it through social media, so they get a leg up, so they don't have to go through what I went through with like different adults. When like a 15-year-old takes your spot, and you're 27, and you're just looking. I'm like, well, why is he taking my spot? Because I've gone through this.
Yeah,
people are like,
I've seen it.
Why
too.
is he taking my spot? Like this. I've been with you for like 7 years, and all this. Like, I've been dancing for 7 years, and I've been dancing for 15 years.
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's about the delivery. It's about the execution and about your ethics as a dancer. I know exactly what you're saying. 'Cause I went through it, too, when I was younger, and I always earned my spots because I was very disciplined. and I was always trying to be better. I didn't want to be the dancer in the last, row. And no, I didn't want to do that. So I see what you're saying. So it's really cool, and I'm glad that there's a lot of similarities in your way of thinking, and you've hit certain key points that I think are really important that I've also talked about with my students. So that's really cool.
Key. And it was never being better than people; it would be better than myself.
Yeah,
because you're only as good as your last at bat.
Exactly.
I make that clear. It's like people be like, "Yeah, I'm going to compete with you." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not competing against you. I'm competing against myself."
Yeah.
So I need to get better at this, or else if I'm competing with somebody, then I'm already capping my level.
Yeah.
Because you're capping the potential. Because now you're just like next to each other. But if you're trying to push through it, that's a whole different dance. Yeah. You can see people that do that.
Yeah, and it's, for me, I'm telling you, I agree with you. For me, I'm my biggest critic. Like I'm very hard on myself because I always want to deliver excellence. Because if I expect that from people, then you have to lead by example. I'm one of those people, even at an early stage in my folklorico career, like when I started teaching, if I expected my dancers to do something for the group, I would do it first so that they could see that I was taking the lead, and I expected for them to do the same. And that's what you do. You have to show them the process, and you have to lead by example. And when you're able to do that, then you have the respect. I really think so.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, you draw people with that same energy, with that same like ambition, because they start to surround you. Like they see this guy, and he's like, "Damn, this guy's doing squats with me. We've already done 100. He's still going. Yeah. What the hell's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah. And then, but you also inspire them too, because you're like, "Wow, if he's doing it, then I have to do it." So yeah, I totally agree with that.
No, it's all just fun and games, man. Well, I just see everything just like I'm just having a good time here.
Good.
Nothing's work.
No, I'm glad that you see that, and I can feel the energy too, and it's just so nice to be able to talk folklorico with people that get it, and to be able to, in a small way, contribute, and if you can inspire one dancer every time that you come in contact with them, then I think that's the biggest reward, and you're doing your job.
No, completely. So then, how do you feel about folklorico right now, like, as in the different groups and everything? Because I guess I should put it like, in my opinion, I feel like folklorico is connected but spread out, and there's groups that pop out, and I consider actually one of your groups popping out, where they dominate the attention and they have it there, and I feel like if once they change like certain things, they're gonna hit that next level where it does make folklorico to that, like you were saying earlier, to that ballet status, to that flamenco status, because the knowledge that they have and everything to create that product, and they're constantly pushing and innovating, is going to get them there.
Well, I think that there's different categories. We're really not a professional dance company until you have your dancers on payroll. That's really what that's the difference between a professional dancer and a semi-professional dancer or dance company. So in LA, we don't have the resources to do that. So all of these dancers that come together do it because they love the art form. So you have different expectations from all these dancers because there's a lot to choose from now. There's a huge inventory of folklorico in LA. I think what really draws a certain type of dancer to your company is the sensibility and the essence that you produce to be able to attract a dancer that wants to be part of that environment that you're producing. I think that when you're able to do that, but you have to switch the mentality. Some dancers think, "Oh, I don't need a lot of rehearsal. I'm good. I can just show up and do it." You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I went through it.
Okay. But if you're able to change that mentality and you tell your dancers, you need to train. You need to train because if you train, you become prime real estate. You're more marketable, or not. I guess that's not the word, but you're more valued as a dancer, and you're able to. You have the ability. You have the skill set. When you're able to convince your dancers and you're able, or make them understand that they have to train and that there is a certain level of respect that needs to be given to our art form, then that's when you have an outstanding company. That's when the company starts looking good and people start seeing the work that you're producing. And then you develop that reputation where, wow, Ressurreccion is doing interesting work. There's a lot of companies in LA that do that I respect their line of work and I respect their discipline. And that's, I think, what makes the difference, being able to attract them because you're producing, in essence, a certain environment or a certain ambiance. They're drawn to that. Then once they're in there, you're able to communicate to them and say, look, these are the expectations. This is what I need you to do as a dancer to achieve this. Once you're able to have them understand that, then everything else starts happening organically. Your dancers start dancing better. Your suites are not rough anymore. They start looking smooth. They start looking more professionally executed. And that's how you are able to take it to the next level. I think that's how I see it. When a group is able to put together all those ingredients and create this recipe that works, you have it made. You're able to perform anywhere, and people are going to recognize the good work. But I think it comes with that foundation. When you get your dancers to train, it doesn't have to be in ballet. It doesn't have to be. It can be in the technique that you have set, or the vision that you have for your company, for your group, if you will. And that's, if they can follow that curriculum, then your dancers will start producing and executing beautifully. And people will notice, and people will like what you're doing. And that's how you attract great dancers. When you go to a festival and they see the poor little chancala group, nobody wants to go to that. Nobody wants to be a part of that. But if your company's up there and they're polished and they're doing things beautifully, and there's a lot of energy, and there's dynamic, and there's, movement, color, and it's seamless and it's beautiful, that's what attracts dancers. And then they will want to join your company. That's when you start getting all those messages. Where do you rehearse? What days? What's your tuition? Whatever it may be. So I think that's how I see it. And that's how you really make a folklorico company outstanding. But most importantly, a solid folklorico organization.
No, completely. Yeah, because the reason I asked that and I look into it is because my model, what I really, really want to do is build a school college agency, to where school you learn, college you dip your toe into the entertainment, you work restaurant gigs, you work different venues and places, and then the agency you go out and do work and you make a living as a dancer. And I know that's going to take years to produce.
Well, I hope not. I hope not. I hope it happens soon, because I would love to be able to see that. It would be a wonderful outlet for our talent. Yeah.
And then the reason I think your group is on the cusp of that, or getting to the point of that professionalism, is because when I talk to people and we're just talking folklorico and different things, they tell me, "Yeah, I've been thinking about joining Valpuesta's group, Ressurreccion."
Oh, wow.
That's the reason I say
amazing.
you've never talked to them. Yeah. They've never, I don't know if they've gone to one of your shows. I don't think they have. It's just the fact that you have what you exactly said, and you created that ingredient for the group.
Thank you.
And it's there, and that's why I'm saying it. And that's why I always ask, I always that question to people.
Thank you for sharing that, because it's always what you want to achieve. You want to inspire people. I get messages from people from everywhere, where even from Mexico, surprisingly, you have your little fan base when you post pictures or videos, and then I get private messages from people thanking me, thank you for posting videos, thank you for sharing your pictures. We follow the work that you do, we admire you, we respect the work that you're doing, and that is such a wonderful thing to listen to, because every time I go to the studio, every time I conduct rehearsal, it's with the intention that I want to inspire people, that I want them to feel the passion that I'm feeling, and that for them to carry it, to be able to understand it, and they can appropriate it so that they can, take it with them. So when I hear that, it's very rewarding, because that's really what my intention is.
Yeah, you really can see it.
Thank you.
It's just I tell that's what I do, because you see me, I post a ton on social media. I camera it to death.
Me too.
Yeah.
I do this. I love social media. I love posting stuff. I love sharing, because I think that's what makes, for me, 90 of the stuff that I put up is folklorico stuff. So to me, that's what makes the folklorico world go around, because you're sharing it. If you like it, then I'm already tapping into your network, and you have 4,000 friends. I have another 4,000. That's already 8,000 people. Then you have that other friend of yours that I don't have that liked my video because you liked my video. If that makes any sense, and that's how you start building that network, and that's how people start hearing about you, and then that's really how you inspire people. I really believe so.
Yeah, it's at one point to where, like, I've always seen pre-internet groups grow, and people talk about these really, really big groups, and it was always the same conflict. Oh, well, they wouldn't say yes to this. Oh, they wouldn't change their choreographies or this because they asked them to. Oh, they wouldn't change the music because this is this. And then when they get to that level, the group just crumbles. Not like because the director's doing a bad job, but they just can't push past that barrier of Hollywood, basically.
Well, I'll tell you this, I've worked with a lot of demanding producers, and what happens is they will tell you what they want to see. And I go into that mentality where this has nothing to do with me. It's not, they're not against my vision. This is not personal. This is just in their mind, they're already predisposed to see what they want to see. Just recently, this December, it's going to be a year, I was awarded a recognition in Tijuana at Centro Cultural de Tijuana, El Secut, for being an ambassador of a successful representative of the Mexican tradition living abroad, living in the States, if you will. And it's really difficult for a group in Mexico to recognize a maestro from the States. They don't do that. It's about their maestros, and it's a very tight-knit group in Mexico. And foreigners, because I'm considered, I was born in Mexico, but they brought me here when I was a year old, so I'm considered American. So when I go to Mexico, there's apprehension, if you will. But when I was invited to get this recognition, I was super I can't even describe the feeling. I was flabbergasted. I was in disbelief, and they asked if I could bring my group to perform at El Secut. That's one of the biggest platforms in Baja California as far as theater is concerned. Anybody that matters in dance in Baja California Norte and Sur perform at El Secut. So it was a big deal for us to come from LA and be able to, share the stage with these amazing companies. But they told me there's a theme that we have to follow, that we have to abide by, and you have to tailor your choreography to it. I said, no problem. At the end of the day, it's their vision. They're producing the show, and they want us to be a guest. And so you have to accommodate. And I didn't have a problem with that. But there is times where there's maestros or directors that are not prepared for that, and their ego gets bruised, and they will refuse, and they don't want to participate, and they walk away. And I feel that it's so shameful in the sense that you're going to lose out on a great opportunity, and you're also sacrificing your dancers because of it. So I try to be very careful when it comes to that. If we get invited to do something, I listen, but at the end of the day, it's their vision. And as long as they're not asking me to do something crazy where like my dancers are going to, wear Jalisco costumes and we're going to start, dancing to reggaeton, then that's where I draw the line, but as long as they're doing things right and I believe in their overall vision, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I've just seen it. There's a lot of groups I've heard about, a lot of people that like dedicated their whole thing to folklorico, and then you're there talking to them and they're older and they'll be like, yeah, but then the teacher said no to this, and I was like, wow, we're losing opportunities. And I stuck with them, and I slowly saw everybody fall apart. And I'm just like, damn, bro, you didn't jump ship earlier? Like,
I know what you're saying.
I get loyalty, but there's loyalty, and then there's being blind.
I know. We go through that. We go through that. But you know what? As far as longevity, I think that I always respect dancers that stick to that they're loyal to their group for however, many years. I was one of them. I was loyal to the companies that I was with for a very long time. But I was always invited to do, a gig here and dance with this group. But communication is key. I would always communicate with my directors. Look, I know this director, they want me to participate in this event. These are the rehearsal dates. I'm not going to compromise your rehearsal dates. but I'm letting you know that I'm going to do this because I've been invited and I want to partake in that specific production or whatever. And when you communicate to your director and you have that open line and you're being honest, there's no way that things are going to go bad. You just have to communicate effectively.
Yeah, I got lucky with my with my first teacher, who I was with for a long time, 10 years. She told me to leave, to go. She got mad at me when I explored different groups. She's like, no, you're going to the wrong ones. Go to these ones. Sure. It wasn't that they were dancing wrong. It was that she had an image for me to learn in a certain way.
Got it. Yeah.
And she wanted me to be groomed, and that's when she pointed me to Motorcycle.
She had a plan.
And she had a plan for me. Yeah. She just didn't expect me to just be Daniel and not ask permission and just.
No, I know what you're saying.
Always ask for forgiveness, never permission. For all people out there,
there it is.
Easier to get. Easier to get.
No, that is true, and I agree. Sometimes we have a vision for a specific dancer, and this is what we want them to achieve. But at the end of the day, everybody has to journey through whatever they have to journey through, and you have to respect that. All you have to do is be there. You have to be there to support them. If they succeed, good. You buy a ticket, go see them. And if they don't succeed, then you're there to, give them a shoulder, Yeah, so that's how it is.
Yeah, that's why, I always tell, especially, the dancers that are getting closer to me, I have 2 little ones, super talented, and I have another one that's very loyal. And I'll be like, yeah, you guys are going to quit? And they'll just look at me like, what? I'm like, everybody quits on you. Eventually, you're going to have to go do something bigger, do something that you want, or you're going to get married, or you're going to have families. Life happens. So I need to cram as much crap in you right now.
And take advantage of you.
Right now, I need you to stuff you with all the information and then just send you out to the world to succeed.
This is where I'm going to utilize you. And those are the best moments where you're able to maximize your dancers because you're going to lose them. I wish none of my dancers had ever, left. But it's a cycle, that you have to go through, and some dancers leave and some new ones come in, and you as a director needs to be present and needs to always be prepared to welcome them and to continue teaching and continue giving them the tools that you've given everybody from the beginning of time. That's how I see it.
No, completely. And then do you guys have anything else coming up? Anything planned?
We have a show on Saturday. We're doing the Sabor Latino Festival in San Pedro at the Warner Grand, I think, in the city of San Pedro, on Saturday at 5 p.m. So I know that there's tickets still available. There's going to be an array of folklorico companies there, so it's going to be a really fun festival for the evening. And then I think are on hiatus after that. I shouldn't say hiatus. We're going on the holidays are coming, so we don't rehearse the week of Thanksgiving, and then here comes the holidays, and we're off, I think, 3 weeks in December, maybe the last 2 weeks, and then the first week of January, because we roll into the new year. And so it's a very, it's like downtime for us, but we're able to get together and celebrate with the dancers and show them appreciation. Maybe a couple of little gigs here and there, but nothing major. We have something big planned for next year. It's still a little too early to talk about what I'm planning to do, but I will put you on my list to be one of the first people that I notify. Okay.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Come back and talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I'll tell you. We have something planned for later in the summer, but I still need to finalize some details and line up all of my ducks and make sure that I have all the things that I need to make it happen.
Well, sounds good. It's good talking to you.
Likewise, Daniel.
So that's the end of our show. I appreciate everybody listening. Catch this podcast on all the major platforms. We're everywhere. And YouTube. Usually people just go to YouTube because it's the easiest one to get to. Links on our Facebook page, Folklor America Dance Company. Also links on our Instagram page, Folklor America. You can find us there. And for ours, we have a couple gigs coming up. We have the secret show that I can't talk about.
The secret show.
The secret show.
I want to be let into that.
Told me that not to say anything until they confirm stuff. And then we have a Solvang show. We're going up to Solvang, to the little Dutch place.
I love Solvang. I used to dance there.
Yeah.
We used to do at the park. Oh, you guys are doing that show?
We're doing the Harvest Festival there.
I used to do the Harvest Festival for years with Don Ancin. It was really, I love Solvang. It's really cool. We used to, wait a minute. Yes, Solvang and then Lompoc. Have you heard of Lompoc?
Yeah, Lompoc's right next to it.
Okay, well, I think that's where we used to go. Oh, that's really cool.
So we'll be up there.
Good luck.
The 16th.
Good luck. Have fun.
Trust me. But I remember when we sent that message out, and we're like, they said yes, and we're like, we're Solvang. And then we're like, oh, Solvang's right there.
It's such a
sounds good.
Quaint little town. It's a little Dutch town. It's really nice. I go there often, and it's really it's always nice to get away and relax. It's a very relaxing place.
No, I can't.
And I know that festival is really cool, so I'm happy for you.
Yeah, from what I heard and understand, it's a great place to go to. I'm gonna take advantage of it. I'm gonna ship my dancers out there early.
Cool.
And then I'm having a new lens shipped, so I'm gonna do a photo shoot.
Nice. Share some footage with us, okay? Post some videos and pictures.
Oh, trust me.
Okay.
80,000 of them out there.
Good. Okay.
And then what is it for that? And then December 8th, we'll be at the East LA Parade, so catch us there. And then we'll also be in Southgate for the Southgate Festival in December. And I think that's all we have planned so far.
That is awesome.
So
you're busy. You're busier than we are.
Plaza Mexico, the 30th. So catch us there for
the December 30th?
November 30th.
What's happening at Plaza Mexico?
And they're having their, danza, fandango, like jarocho.
Oh, the Noche Jarocha. Noche Veracruzana or something.
Yeah, with Delilah's hosting it.
Oh, what do you call that?
Yeah.
Noche Veracruzana.
Something. I'm sorry, Delilah. She's going to yell at me. We just talked about this last week.
Well, get more information. Maybe we can go and support you guys and go spend time there, okay?
Yeah, we're the closing act, so.
Nice.
So I'm so happy about that.
Very
I saw
good,
the set list and I was like, we're closing?
That's cool.
Okay. Yeah. We gotta work harder, guys.
That is really cool. Yeah, I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you, and we are out.
Adios. Let me get this.
And then see you on Facebook.
How long was the interview?
An hour and 20 minutes.
Whoa! It didn't feel that long. That's crazy.
Oh, these flow. They're just conversations, and you just talk, and then by the end of it, you're just going into it, and you're like, "Oh, okay."
This is. I hope it saves.
No, it should all. Yeah, your phone doesn't cut off.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I've recorded Blanca's practices for like an hour and a half straight on live, and it's still there. That's how I learned to do social media, because I would make anything that came out in English on the Tierra Blanca page. I made it. Back for like for a year, I was like doing it.
I saw a video of, I think, you and Liz rehearsing with Tierra Blanca, but I didn't know who you were. Mm-hmm. Now you danced with me in 2010.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, it was in 2010. This is like 9 years ago. Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's years ago.
Yeah. And I think it was way before 2010. It was
was
2007.
It's
07,
06.
07, yeah.
Yeah. It was because I was still in high school. I think I was a freshman. And like that's what I was doing, was I was looking for a folklorico group my age that fit my criteria. Because at the time I was wanting to be strictly danza, because I told you, I was like, there's no other way.
You had traditional.
Now I'm like, damn, I should have went the other way.
That is so cool. Well, I'm glad that you're doing this.
Yeah, your ensemble piece, amazing.
The what?
Your ensemble piece, the Norte one you put together.
Thank you.
I'm jealous that Blanca uses it completely.
Oh, yeah.
I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, just do it. No, it's Blanca's baby. Come on. Yes, just use it.
She actually commissioned that piece. She commissioned it to me. She said, I want you to work on this because we're going to be doing an event with a Norteño group that does... they're not Mexican, they're European. They're from Poland, I think. And I said, wow, cool. So when I heard it, I was like, this is really cool. We're going to be able to do a lot of things with that.
Wait, let's see. How do I set this? Open report. Oh, actually. And